What if I told you that one single shift in how you think about money saved me over $10,000 in just 12 months? I went from barely scraping by to banking an extra $10,000 without cutting out date nights, weekend trips, or my favorite takeout. Not by giving up everything I love, not by eating rice and beans every night, just seven surprisingly simple habits that completely changed my financial reality. And the wild part, most people already know about at least a few of these, but they're doing them completely wrong. Stick around because tip number 4 is the one nobody talks about, and it might be the most powerful thing I share today. It did about 40% of the heavy lifting for me. Let me start with a quick reality check. A lot of us believe we know where our money goes. We have a rough idea in our heads: groceries, rent, subscriptions, eating out. But here is the uncomfortable truth: that rough idea in your head is almost certainly wrong, and it is costing you thousands of dollars every single year. I know because it was costing me exactly that. The first habit that started turning things around for me was building what I now call a zero estimation budget. This means I stopped guessing at my expenses entirely. Not a ballpark figure, not an approximation. Every single dollar that left my account was tracked and recorded. Think of it like this: if your speedometer broke and you had to guess your speed, you would probably think you were driving slower than you actually were. Estimating expenses works the same way. You always think you are spending less than you actually are. When I started tracking every purchase with zero exceptions, I found money leaking out of my budget in places I had completely ignored. Little subscriptions I forgot about, grocery runs midweek that were not planned, coffee stops that added up to hundreds over a few months. The simple act of tracking showed me the truth, and the truth was uncomfortable but fixable. But tracking alone wasn't enough until I stopped treating extra cash like free money. That's when habit number 2 flipped my whole mindset. The second habit is what I call goal allocation. And this one changed everything about how I thought about leftover money. Before I figured this out, whenever I had money sitting in my account at the end of the month, I treated it like a green light to spend. Oh, I have some cushion this month? New purchase incoming. That is the flush with cash mistake. And I have made it more times than I want to admit. You get to the first of the month, feel great about how much you have, spend freely in the first 2 weeks, and then spend the last week in a panic. The fix is to give every extra dollar a specific destination before you ever feel tempted to spend it. Split that extra money between your financial goals with clear percentages assigned to each one. Maybe 60% goes toward building your emergency fund, 20% toward a bigger purchase you are planning for, and 20% toward a shorter term goal. The exact split does not matter as much as the fact that you make the decision in advance. When every dollar has a name and a job, it stops disappearing. With that money now spoken for, the next step was protecting it from life's inevitable surprises. Habit number 3 is non negotiable. Now, speaking of emergency funds, that brings me to habit number 3, and this one is the foundation everything else rests on. Before you aggressively pursue any financial goal, you need a financial safety net. Did you know? Nearly 4 out of 10 Americans would struggle to cover an unexpected $400 expense without borrowing money or selling something. $400. One car repair, one unexpected medical bill, one appliance breaking down. Without an emergency fund, any financial progress you make can be completely wiped out the moment life throws a curveball, which it absolutely will. Building even a small emergency buffer of $1 to $2,000 should be your first financial priority. It takes debt off the table as a response to unexpected expenses, and the peace of mind it creates is something you cannot put a price on. Once my safety net was in place, I could finally play offense, and that's where habit number 4 comes in. This is the one almost nobody talks about, and it alone saved me thousands. Habit number 4 is the one I promised you, and I genuinely believe most people sleep on this completely. I call it the gamification system, and it is responsible for more of my savings than almost anything else. The idea is simple: you turn your financial goals into games with trackable scores and small rewards when you win. Here is an example. Let me say I spent $450 on groceries last month. Instead of just accepting that as the new normal, I set a challenge. Can I do it for 400 this month? I give myself a simple target, track my progress like I am keeping score in a game, and feel genuinely satisfied when I hit it. This works for almost every area of your budget: energy bills, fuel costs, entertainment spending, or clothing. You create a benchmark from last month or last year, set a slightly better target, and compete against yourself. What I found is that this approach makes the process of saving feel interesting instead of depressing. It also creates momentum. And when you chain those wins together over 12 months, the savings compound in a way that is genuinely shocking. Sound too simple? Here's the crazy part. When I involved my whole family, our savings doubled in 3 months. We turned it into a household game, celebrated wins together. That energy is what separates people who stick to frugal habits long term from people who give up after 3 weeks. Take it further by involving your household. When everyone is working toward the same score, the motivation multiplies. Celebrate when you hit a goal together. Keep it fun. Gamification kept things fun, but it paired perfectly with killing impulse buys. Habit number 5 is what I call needs first decision making. And it is a direct attack on impulse spending, which is the silent killer of most budgets. Before any non essential purchase, I ask myself one question: do I actually need this, or do I just want it right now? And I give myself a mandatory waiting period of at least 24 to 48 hours before buying anything that is not a planned purchase. The majority of things I almost bought during impulse moments lost all their appeal after one night of sleeping on it. That dopamine rush of wanting something is real, but it is also temporary. If I still want the item 2 days later, great. If I forget about it entirely, I just save that money without feeling deprived of anything. This habit alone cut my unnecessary spending by about 60% in the first quarter. Another exercise that helped me here is sitting in a room of my house and looking around at everything in it. Most of the time, everything I genuinely need is already there. Waiting killed most impulses, but the real quiet killer was forgetting what I already pay for. Habit number 6 catches those leaks automatically. Habit number 6 saves money quietly in the background without requiring much ongoing effort. I started doing a quarterly review of everything I own and everything I pay for. Once every few months, I go through my subscriptions, my regular purchases, and my household systems looking for two things: things I can eliminate and things that might need to be replaced soon. That second part is crucial. When you can see that an appliance or something else in your life is heading toward the end of its life, you can research replacements ahead of time, compare options without pressure, watch for sales, and save up the money before you actually need to spend it. This is the opposite of emergency spending, where you are forced to buy something right now at whatever price is available because something broke unexpectedly. On the elimination side, I found subscriptions and memberships I was paying for that I had not used in months. Cutting those alone freed up a surprising amount of money annually. Those 2 hours every quarter returned over $1,500 in savings last year. Highest ROI thing I do. The quarterly review turned into one of the highest return on investment things I did because a couple of hours of focused attention saved me thousands. Quarterly reviews cleared the junk. Now, habit number 7: make sure I never feel deprived while saving. The seventh habit is what I call the frugal swap strategy. The biggest mistake people make when trying to save money is trying to eliminate everything enjoyable all at once. That approach creates a sense of deprivation that leads to quitting within a month. Instead of eliminating things, you find better versions of them that cost less. You do not give up your morning coffee ritual. You find a way to enjoy a version of it at home that genuinely satisfies you and costs a fraction of what you were spending. You do not stop cleaning your home. You make your own effective cleaner with ingredients you already own that works just as well. You do not stop using plastic bags. You find ways to stretch the ones you have to last longer. The key question to ask yourself is this: is there a version of this habit that still brings me most of the same value at a lower cost? And over a full year, the small daily frugal swaps add up to something genuinely significant. Think you can't swap without missing out? I thought the same until 3 simple swaps saved me over $2,000 alone. Here is what ties all 7 of these habits together. Every single one of them is about intentionality, knowing where your money is going, deciding in advance what it is for, building systems that protect you from impulsive decisions, and finding creative ways to stay satisfied without spending more than you need to. The $10,000 I saved this year did not come from one dramatic sacrifice. It came from 7 small shifts done consistently over 365 days. And if you start just 2 of these habits this week, you will feel the difference before the month is over. Don't wait until next year. Pick one habit today and start. You'll feel the difference before the month ends. Which of these 7 habits are you going to start with? Drop it in the comments right now. Let's get you those wins. And if you want to go deeper on any one of these strategies, let me know. I've got another video that breaks down the budget methods I've tried to use that failed miserably. That video is right here. See you there.